Seeing no more questions related to our health and safety update, COVID-19 health and safety update, we're going to transition. You'll note Dr. Teigen is staying at the podium because she's going to take the lead on our next item, and that is a very brief update on Destination 2025, our strategic plan progress update. Not joining us today is Dr. Hinton, which is why Dr. Teigen's at the podium here on her behalf, but certainly appreciate her ongoing efforts as she's taking point and lead related to our strategic plan efforts. You'll note during this presentation that while it's brief and we hit on some data updates, we will foreshadow some upcoming in-depth presentations that will be coming to the board to really highlight some of the work that's being done. But just wanted to take a moment at today's work session to remind folks of our strategic plan, give the board just sort of a peek at what we're planning related to new communications and a few quick data points, and again, look forward to more detailed presentations at future meetings. Dr. Teigen?
I'll say good afternoon again, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Cashwell. Today, I will be sharing, as Dr. Cashwell said, a brief update on the progress of Destination 2025, our division strategic plan. Specifically, I will review several key performance metrics that we use to monitor the success of our plan, and I'll provide an update on how we are communicating progress with our community. During our September update, Dr. Hinton shared the reporting timeline you see here. In October and November, data related to graduation and dropouts, as well as college readiness indicators, was shared, including advanced course enrollment and career and technical education credentialing. Today, we'll discuss key performance indicators related to student attendance, gifted identification, and teacher demographics and retention. In March, we will be convening our strategic plan steering committee to review the plan and suggest possible revisions in preparation for our next board update on the strategic plan in April. And again, you will see from the timeline that we have, combined those updates on the strategic plan with some more in-depth presentations that provide the information then that's carried into the plan. Communication of Destination 2025 continues to be a priority, and we are excited to share that our communications and community outreach team is in the process of redesigning the Destination 2025 webpage. The redesigned page will include an overview of each strategic goal and an outline of the associated key performance metrics. When users click on a goal objective, a timeline will appear detailing each implementation driver. By clicking on an implementation driver, a window with details on the progress of the implementation driver will be displayed, similar to the information we share in our public updates. By scrolling down, the community will be able to view videos of how the work is impacting our students, staff, and families. Additionally, by clicking on View Analytical Data, an interactive dashboard will be displayed with each metric associated with that strategic goal. When users click on the metric, information explaining the data point will be shown, and data graphs will display information on our progress on each indicator. Some graphs include opportunities to explore the data in various ways by clicking on drop-down menus. We aim to launch the redesigned website by February, and we hope this new communication tool helps our community stay informed about the work and our progress. Looking at our school attendance metric, this slide shows average daily student attendance for the division, as well as showing that same data by subgroup. As you can see, all groups have an average daily attendance at or above 95% for 2020-21. Keep in mind that the mixture of virtual and in-person learning during 2020-21 may have had a unique effect on our data. I also want to clarify that when discussing our economically disadvantaged subgroup, we are referring to students who are eligible for free and reduced meals, receive TANF, are eligible for Medicaid, or are identified as either migrant or experiencing homelessness. Another attendance metric we monitor is chronic absenteeism. A student is considered to be chronically absent if the student misses 10% or more in the school year, regardless of the reason. When we look at this metric through an equity index, we see that Black and Hispanic students, students with disabilities, English learners, and economically disadvantaged students continue to be overrepresented, and some may have had more attendance challenges caused by the pandemic, particularly with virtual education. In viewing our data, several steps have been taken to proactively address attendance for this school year. Training has been provided to all principals on the school quality process, including developing a comprehensive need assessment and writing a school quality plan that addresses tiered interventions to identify and monitor student attendance. Training has also been provided to all principals on the differences of monitoring chronic absenteeism versus truancy and how both can be incorporated into building procedures. The Department of School Quality has held office hours to provide individualized support to schools in developing and monitoring chronic absenteeism via the school quality process and plan development. Resources for running reports as well as gathering and reporting student data were shared. Lastly, division-level chronic absenteeism and truancy data is shared monthly with the central office school quality team, and actions are taken to address identified data trends. Now, as we transition to gifted education, as we aim to increase opportunities for all students, we also review our gifted identification equity index annually. Asian, white, and students of multiple races continue to be overrepresented in our gifted population. However, progress is seen in the representation of our Black students, students with disabilities, and economically disadvantaged students. Several strategies are being undertaken to further support this effort, including the utilization of gifted screening and identification tools designed to recognize strengths in students from various backgrounds, such as the new teacher perception inventory and the HOPE teacher rating scale. Professional learning is underway with the gifted teachers on utilizing data to identify trends and set goals and growth measures to increase referrals and identification of underserved students. Additionally, a focus is being placed on family communication about the gifted identification process, such as school information sessions, informational videos, and family events. These events include providing information in multiple languages. We are also working to diversify our staff. Recruiting and retaining staff that mirror our student population will support our work towards student achievement, culture and climate, and equity and diversity. Teacher and recruitment demographic data in 2021-22 remain fairly consistent from our baseline data in 2018-19. Lastly, the goal of recruiting, retaining, and rewarding educators, we clearly recognize the importance of retaining our teachers to support our mission. The teacher retention rate for the 2020-21 school year was 9.1%. That was a 2% increase from our baseline year of 2018-19. In February, staff from the Department of Human Resources will provide a comprehensive update on how the division is working to diversify our teaching staff moving forward and the strategies for continuing to increase teacher retention. So as I shared at the beginning, several upcoming presentations are planned to provide a comprehensive update on several implementation drivers in the plan, including our teacher retention and recruitment efforts, a highlight on our community partnership work, and an update on our division literacy plan. In June, we'll have results from our Henrico County Public Schools surveys that will be administered in March to our students, staff, and families, which will be aligned to our strategic plan priorities. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that update. Let's see, Mrs. Shea, what are your thoughts as to strategic plan update?
You know I love the strategic plan, being on the strategic plan committee with you, Ms. Kinsella.
I know you do.
All right, actually, just two thoughts. So when we look at our gifted identification, we're 99% underrepresented in English language learners. And I remember from our gifted presentation back in the fall, like you mentioned, Dr. Teigen, they have some specific new screeners in order to help target that. Have we been through a full cycle in order to see the outcomes of that?
No, I don't believe so.
With COVID.
Oh, well, actually, Mr. Dusalt's coming forward. I didn't see that he was back there.
Mr. Dusalt is here, as well as Ms. Healy.
And while he's coming forward, and I imagine there may be some in-depth questions about some of the other indicators we've presented, just know that while we presented sort of brief overviews and data, data peaks at progress currently, we look forward to some more in-depth presentations coming up and as more is available. But Mr. Dusalt.
Good afternoon, and Ms. Shea, you must have been reading my mind, because tomorrow you will be receiving a board update on the HOPE scale. We have some initial referral numbers for you to share, where we're going to be able to compare previous years with the number of HOPE scales that have been requested for our English learners, and I think you will be very surprised and very encouraged by the results that we have shown. So to answer your question in full, no, we have not gone through a full cycle of this yet. We will be giving the HOPE assessment scale in the coming weeks to our English learners, and then hopefully we will have a decent number of those identified.
Awesome. I'm so excited to hear that. I just saw when we hadn't had movement on this slide, but we knew we were having those additional screeners. I was just trying to see, kind of where that is. So I'm really excited about this, because I know actually there's a referral window that I guess just ended earlier this week or
The 21st.
And so, yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited to see those numbers. Thank you so much. And then my only other thought is when we look at teacher turnover or teacher retention, teacher turnover, I tried to dig in a little bit to try to understand those numbers. Like, is 9% good? And so, because I know 0% is unrealistic, right? We know we are going to have teachers that retire. We know that we're going to have teachers that have to move out of state or elsewhere for things beyond their control. So 0% is unrealistic, but, really trying to get a grasp of like, what's a fantastic number? And it looks like that statewide is around, depending on where you look, is around 15%, and maybe nationally that we're kind of there too, which would tell me that 9% is good.
Yes, and Francine Bolden from HR is going to come up, and she's nodding vigorously to "Is it good?" And so she'll answer that.
Yes, ma'am. And you already have the statistics statewide and industry-wide. So 9% is very, very good for a school division.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And not a dire need, because I know you are all in on trying to recruit and fill some positions. But as we look at this number in the future, it may be helpful to understand what % of those are retirees versus leaving our division for other divisions or just leaving the profession altogether. But I am excited to hear that 9% is a good number, and keep up the good work. That's all from me.
And there'll be a presentation next month on that topic in depth, the teacher retention recruitment piece. So we'll look into digging into that answering that question for you.
Thank you, Mrs. Shea. Let's see, Ms. Ogburn.
Sure, I'll just be real quick. I really appreciate the update. And Mrs. Shea, those numbers are coming. We were just kind of laughing because you do love your numbers. So that'll be fun for you to dice through. I just appreciate it because this is kind of like our guide. And I appreciate the update that we still know our work is purposeful, it's focused. We're not letting other things distract us from moving forward. And when we look at what Henrico is doing overall, I just think our way forward is so bright and clear. We've got a lot of exciting things going on. So I appreciate that. But as far as the teacher retention, if that 9% is a good number, do we have any clue what is making us different from other school divisions as some specifics? What's working? And what are our teachers responding to that keep them here? Because whatever that is, we want to keep doing it. So I'm just,
I think
what are we hearing?
We're going to continue to dig in to get stronger answers there and more information, because obviously we want to lean into the strategies that are yielding the best result. And you'll hear some of that in next month's presentation to the board. But I'll tell you, one of the large factors, I believe, is we're highly competitive, our compensation package. We are a region leader. And so sometimes it's not even just when you look at the compensation, but when you think of the benefits package and some of the other things that Henrico County offers, that makes us really competitive in the market.
Well, and we've thanked the county manager and the board of supervisors a couple of times during this meeting. So I'm going to do it again because obviously with the unified pay plan for Henrico, we have our employees are treated the same way. And for the county to acknowledge and reward our teachers for their hard work and dedication, hopefully that is part of the reason, I feel sure that that's part of the reason why we do have that 9% number. And any county at this point with the teacher shortage the way it is that shows that number decreasing at this point in time is an awesome thing to see. So I'm sure that they will support us in keeping that going as we have discussions about the budget, as we continue those. But I do look forward to that. The next one is on our teachers and our staff. But that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ogburn. Ms. Adkins.
So thank you for the presentation. It is critical to monitor and communicate the outcomes of these performance indicators. I look forward to more in-depth information in the presentation. I do have a few items to be considered as you are creating that presentation. So that's hint, hint, get your pen and your paper ready. So one thing in the presentation I would look forward to seeing is more information on that tiered approach around student attendance. I really, really want to learn more about the approach, specific timeline, and percentage of understanding in comparison to other districts. So I would hope to see a little bit more about that. Also, I want to learn more about the strategies that are being used to diversify the staff. That's a big piece, I think, in this whole picture. So learning more about what are we doing now, what do we plan to do in the future, understanding that the profession itself is struggling. And so I want to learn more in that area. And then the last piece is, I don't know that it needs to be specifically in the upcoming in-depth presentation, but something to consider as you're putting information together is there's a study that focuses on how chronic absenteeism may be linked to socio-emotional development And I've seen studies talk about using a goal-oriented approach because of some of the outcomes from those studies. So it may be worth taking a look at those studies as you put together your plan for the future and how to address absenteeism, whether it's chronic absenteeism or even for the students that may not reach that level, but they're getting close. And so the goal is to prevent that. And there's some information in that study that might just be helpful as you're trying to put together information to present to the board. So those are just 3 areas that I look forward to learning more about in the next in-depth presentation. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adkins. Reverend Cooper.
Well, thank you again. I'm going to be very brief, very brief as well. Look forward to next month because, when you look at our update on all of our performance metrics, when you look at our teacher and student demographic comparison from 18 to 21, the error margin is very slim, especially the 1736 and 18, and 1735 and 21, 22. So for me, I'd love to see that next month as far as our efforts that we're looking to increase that and see how we plan to attack that. And so, again, thank you for this brief overview, but I'm looking forward to seeing that next month.
Thank you, Reverend Cooper. I just have 2 things to say. I'm going to agree with Ms. Ogburn, but probably all my board members. The strategic plan updates are critical. This is what we use to see where we're going, see where we've been, and what's available out on the website. We've been asked about that from students, from partner groups, families, just staff. Where are we in the work? Folks just don't know. So thank you for putting all that information out there. And I'm just going to highlight, this presentation is so timely. I just got a message today from Dr. Hinton about the next strategic plan steering committee meeting. So just thank you for your work and thank you for the presentation today. That's all I have.
And please thank Eileen Cox and her team because they have come in, they are really embracing being able to provide that, avenue to our families and our staff to be able to see the progress on the strategic plan. That is our greatest excitement, I know, Dr. Hinton and myself, on today's presentation. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cashwell.
All right. Thank you. We look forward to continued updates and progress on Destination 2025 and